Thank you.
Gentleman's time's expired. With that, go to the gentleman from New York, Mr. Lawler. He's recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Secretary, when was the last time you met with President Biden in person?
I meet with President Biden over a wide range of issues, the economy, China,
When was the last time you
Russia.
met with him in person?
I'm not going to comment on my meetings with the president. Those are private.
Well, as a cabinet secretary, have you noticed any mental or cognitive decline in any of these meetings?
The president is extremely effective in the meetings that I've been in with him. That includes many international meetings that are multi-hour, like his meetings with President Xi. I've met with him with other leaders who are in.
So are you testifying
and
that you have
elsewhere.
not seen any mental or cognitive decline?
Mr. Chairman, point of inquiry. She's not a physician.
She's a member of the
She's
cabinet.
not. You're asking her a medical question.
Let's keep the comments to the subject.
It's not a medical question. It's her interpretation as a member of the cabinet.
What I,
I'm
And I
just
move
asking
to
what
have
your
those
testimony
words
is.
taken down. Mr. Chairman, I move to have those
That's
words
it.
taken down. She is not a physician.
Will people please not go between the witness and the committee? Okay. Mr. Lawler, she's answered the question. Let's move on. You're recognized for the balance of your time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Secretary, have there been any discussions among cabinet secretaries about invoking the 25th Amendment?
no.
Okay. The supplemental appropriations bill
She has a
enacted
request
in
to back
April
it, so
contained two of my bills, the SHIP Act, which requires the imposition of sanctions on foreign ports and refineries that knowingly process Iranian oil, and the Iran-China Energy Sanctions Act, which requires you to close correspondent accounts for Chinese banks if they are involved in petroleum transactions with the Central Bank of Iran or another sanctioned Iranian financial institution. This applies no matter how minor or infrequent the transaction may be. In March, General Kurilla, the head of CENTCOM, testified before the Armed Services Committee that Iran continues to sell 90% of its oil to China, funding Tehran's subversive activities across the region. That is a quote. Anyone who participates in the sale of Iranian oil plays a role in helping the regime evade U.S. sanctions. Engaging in this trade is tantamount to aiding and abetting a terrorist state, and it must end. These sanctions create a significant financial incentive for ports and refineries to stop dealing in Iranian oil, or else lose access to the U.S. economy. Since Joe Biden took office, Iranian oil sales are up over $100 billion. $100 billion increase. Can you speak to where you are in implementing these laws, the SHIP Act and the Iran-China Energy Sanctions Act, and will you commit to swiftly implementing these sanctions as required by the law?
So I need to look into the details of where we are with respect to these particular acts, but we have put in place a wide array of sanctions on Iran, including for oil dealings. We have sanctioned firms in other countries that are involved with the Iran oil trade, and we are constantly evaluating additional sanctions to put in place.
Since the supplemental aid package passed, have you had any meetings on the SHIP Act or the Iran-China Energy Sanctions Act?
I have regular meetings with my staff.
Have you had any discussions on those two provisions of the supplemental?
I've discussed with them Iranian sanctions.
Specifically, the SHIP Act and the Iran-China Energy
Honestly,
Sanctions
that's
Act.
not the way we organize our discussions. We talk about our Iranian program and what we're doing.
So I'm going to interpret your answer as to be no, you have not had discussions on the SHIP Act and the Iran-China Energy Sanctions Act, and the Treasury Department has not advanced sanctions with respect to those two laws.
I have not said that.
Well, is it yes or no?
I have had discussions with them, and it's covered a wide array of sanctions issues in connection with Iran. I'm not sure specifically which actions have to do with which aspects of the law.
I sent a
and
letter-
that's not how it's presented to me.
I sent a letter specifically on the SHIP Act and the Iran-China Energy Sanctions Act to you and Secretary Blinken a few weeks ago. We have not heard back. We certainly would appreciate a detailed response as to what has been done to implement the law that was passed under the supplemental aid package. And in my remaining time, have you communicated the sanctions risk to Beijing at all with respect to the Iran-China Energy Sanctions Act?
We have discussed with them our concerns about Chinese businesses and others involved with.
But not
these
specifically
matters.
on the Iran-China Energy Sanctions Act?
We have discussed an array of sanctions issues.
Okay.
Gentlemen's time has expired. Just a reminder to the committee that getting into the personal business effects of the president as well as Mr. Trump is inappropriate for this committee.